Three women vanished from a quiet house in Missouri and left almost everything behind. Their cars were still parked outside. Their purses were inside, money untouched, keys untouched, clothes untouched. The family dog was pacing through the empty home, but the women were gone. No signs of forced entry, no confirmed witnesses, no bodies, no arrests, and more than 3 decades later, no one knows exactly what happened inside that house. This is the story of the Springfield Three, one of the most haunting, unsolved disappearances in American history. June 6th, 1992, Springfield, Missouri. For most families, it was a night of celebration. 19-year-old Suzanne Streeter and 18-year-old Stacy McCall had just graduated from Kickapoo High School. Photos were taken, families gathered. Friends made plans for parties later that night. It was supposed to be a beginning, not an ending. Susie and Stacy spent the evening going from graduation celebration to graduation celebration with friends. At some point after midnight, plans changed. The two had originally expected to stay at a friend's house, but when they arrived, the house was crowded. Instead, they made another decision. They drove back to Susie's home on East Delmar Street. Inside the house was Susie's mother, Sherrill Levitt. Sherrill was 47, a cosmetologist. By all accounts, close with her daughter. That night, she was home alone, waiting for Susie to return. Investigators believe Susie and Stacy arrived sometime after 2 a.m. on June 7th. That is the last confirmed time anyone saw any of the three women alive. By the next morning, they were gone. Friends expected to see Susie and Stacy early that day. They had plans, but the two never showed up. Concern started quietly, then grew. When friends arrived at the Delmar house, something felt off immediately. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the home didn't look abandoned. It looked interrupted. The women's cars were parked outside. Inside were purses, clothing, cigarettes, jewelry, and personal belongings. Sherrill's purse reportedly still contained cash. Nothing suggested anyone had packed for a trip. Nothing suggested they intended to leave. And yet, none of them were there. Their small dog, Cinnamon, was inside the home, agitated, waiting. The only visible disturbance noted publicly was broken glass from the porch light outside. But even that had already been cleaned up by the time police began processing the scene. Potential evidence gone before investigators ever arrived. By the afternoon of June 7th, panic had set in.
Oh, you lay down and you hear a car drive down the street, so you think, oh, that might be her. So you jump up and look out, or you think, gosh, what's she doing right now? Has she eaten? So when you try to eat something and it gets stuck in your throat, it didn't go very far.
The disappearance was reported to police. 3 women gone without explanation. From the beginning, investigators faced a problem. The scene had been contaminated. Before police arrived, multiple friends and relatives had entered the home. People had walked through rooms, handled objects, answered the phone, cleaned parts of the porch, moved through what may have been a crime scene without realizing it. Later, investigators estimated that numerous people had been inside before officers secured the property. Any fingerprints, any trace evidence, any clues near the entryway may have been altered or lost. And that wasn't the only lead investigators lost. There was also the answering machine. According to police, a message left on the machine may have been important, but it was accidentally erased before investigators could preserve it. A possible clue, gone forever. The case immediately became one of the largest missing persons investigations in Missouri. Searches were launched. Tips poured in. Investigators canvassed neighborhoods, checked nearby properties, interviewed friends, classmates, co-workers, family members. But nothing produced the breakthrough everyone hoped for. There were no confirmed sightings, no ransom demand, no note, no clear evidence of where the women went after that night. Police publicly said the disappearance appeared suspicious. The women had not left voluntarily. Everything important was still there, and none of them had contacted anyone. That was perhaps the most alarming detail. Sherrill missed appointments. Susie missed work. Stacy missed work. None of them called. None of them came back. And no trace of them has ever been found. Cases usually leave something behind: a vehicle, a trail, a body, a confession, a witness. The Springfield Three left almost nothing, and that absence became the mystery. Investigators spent years chasing thousands of leads. Reported sightings came from across the country. None were confirmed. Rumors spread through Springfield. Speculation filled newspapers, television specials, and eventually online forums. But law enforcement repeatedly emphasized the same thing: no theory has ever been conclusively proven. No suspect has ever been charged. That distinction matters, because few American missing persons cases have generated as much discussion as this one, and few have produced so little verified evidence. Over time, the case became bigger than Springfield. National media covered it. It was featured on crime television programs. Missing persons posters circulated for years. The women's faces became instantly recognizable to people who had never been to Missouri. Yet despite all that visibility, the mystery remained exactly where it started: inside that house on East Delmar. Over the decades, investigators continued reviewing evidence. New detectives revisited old files. Cold case units re-examined tips. Technology improved. DNA science advanced. Public attention surged again and again. But unlike some cold cases, there has been no definitive breakthrough. No forensic revelation, no confession, no arrest. There have been searches tied to tips, re-examinations tied to renewed interest, and public appeals from law enforcement asking anyone with information to come forward. But the central question has never changed: what happened between roughly 2:15 a.m. and sunrise on June 7th, 1992? How do three women disappear from a home without a confirmed struggle, without a witness, without leaving a trace? That question has remained unanswered for more than 30 years. For the families, the clock never really stopped. For Stacy McCall's mother, Janice McCall, the case became a lifetime of waiting. Waiting for a phone call, waiting for a tip, waiting for news, waiting for answers. Years became decades. Birthdays passed, anniversaries passed. Entire generations grew up in Springfield hearing about the case. Still no answers. There are unsolved cases. And then there are cases that become part of a city's identity. The Springfield Three became that for Springfield. People still talk about where they were when they heard. People still remember seeing flyers. Still remember watching the news. Still remember hoping the women would come home. New residents learn the story years later and ask the same question everyone asks: how can three people vanish from a home overnight and leave almost nothing behind? The FBI still lists the case. Springfield police still accept tips. Investigators have never publicly closed the file, because as long as the women remain missing, the case remains open. And somewhere, whether in memory, in evidence, still waiting to be understood, or in someone who has stayed silent all these years, the truth still exists. Someone knows what happened that night. Someone knows why 3 women disappeared from East Delmar Street. And someone knows where they went. Until that truth is found, the Springfield Three remains one of America's most enduring mysteries. 3 women, 1 home, 1 summer night, and a silence that has lasted more than 30 years. No confirmed witness has ever explained it. No evidence has ever fully solved it. And no family has ever received the answers they deserved. But the case has never disappeared. Because Sherrill Levitt, Suzanne Streeter, and Stacy McCall are still being searched for. And until they are found, or until someone finally speaks, Springfield is still waiting for morning. If you stayed with this story until the end, thank you for being here. Subscribe for more real cold cases every week.